Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off. Completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed.
Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going.
It's Tuesday!
Yay, we're so glad you're here. Welcome back.
If this is your first time listening, thanks so much for joining us. And if you are coming back, thanks for not ditching us.
Yeah, we appreciate the non-ditchers.
So after last week's heavy episode, we're ready to do something lighthearted and upbeat.
It's necessary because just the past few weeks have been rough. So, intro? Yeah?
Yes.
Do it.
Okay, so with me today, I have Caitlin. And due to the magic of Botox, the only person who is not jealous of her forehead is Peyton Manning.
Oh my God. I love that joke for so many reasons. Holy canal.
I was pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, well, that's Jenny. She's the woman who once stuck a pin in Ron Swanson's forehead, a la Tammy Swanson. It's Tammy too! Yay! There's so many ways that could go wrong, right? She's nuts. That could have been, I was like, oh, the whale tail. No, not doing that one.
No.
She hit herself in the face with a piece of bacon. She lied under oath to try and get Leslie in trouble and then said she wouldn't do it. There's so many things you could use with that one, but I like the one where she stuck a pin in Ron's forehead. He's like, leave it in. Okay, so let's start out with some shout outs. I've got a couple. Some of the shows I've been listening to recently are Doom Generation podcast. This is Nicole and Tessa, who are elder millennials / Gen Xers like Jenny and myself, and they give you the like not safe for work Cliff's Notes version of movies that we grew up watching. So like they've done Steel Magnolias and Point Break, and the ones that I listened to that I really like could not stop laughing were their Who Framed Roger Rabbit episode.
Oh my gosh.
And also Fern Gully. So in case you didn't know, you can listen to like these two women give you the summary of these movies, but also you'll crack up the whole time. Again, it's not safe for work, so there's that. Put your earbuds in. But it was great. The Fern Gully one, I learned a lot. Did you know Tim Curry is Hexus? Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
It was like so spooky that they had to tell him to tone it down because Tim Curry, right? Like he's
right.
Terrifying.
At some point, yeah.
Right.
We think this is a movie for kids.
Right.
So.
Right. It's supposed to be. The other one is Culture Shocked. This is they describe themselves as 4 aging millennials who give everyone their outdated opinions.
Oh my gosh.
It's really
funny. Do they host? I am totally on the show.
They are hysterical. But the one I listened to was their episode that pitted Friends versus How I Met Your Mother. And it was very entertaining. So absolutely would recommend Culture Shocked. Doom Generation podcast and Culture Shocked are the listens that I've got for this week.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
So last week we flipped the script and we did our lesson in the front end and then went back and had circle time. But we're back into our normal life now. So come to the carpet.
Yay.
Circle time. Crisscross applesauce. Here we go.
Uh-huh.
First, sports.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear about the slap?
I heard about the slap in passing. I cannot tell you what happened, so I need you to fill me in because I truly, like, I wrote it down as like, this is something that I need to know about, and I don't.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so funny.
Tell me.
Okay, so Tommy Pham is on the Reds. Okay. And who is your favorite pearl wearer?
Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson. Yeah. The Giants and the Reds are playing each other.
Mm-hmm.
In the outfield during warm-ups.
Mm.
Tommy Pham just walks up to Jock Peterson and says, "Remember from last year?" And Jock says, "Fantasy football?"
Oh, fantasy football?
And Tommy slaps him across the face.
No.
He got suspended for 3 games because he was mad about their fantasy football teams from last year.
No, you're kidding
Yeah, apparently
me.
they were having a fight over having players on the injured reserve list and putting them on your bench or whatever. And they like texted back and forth during the season about this issue in their league.
Oh.
And Tommy was still mad enough that he hit him. And he has
Who
a bad
does
fight.
that?
And he's on the bench for 3 games.
Who does that? That's the nuttiest thing on the planet. What in the world? Are you kidding me?
Like, when we did that episode about fantasy football, we said, the boys
It
take it
gets
pretty
heated.
seriously.
Yeah, it gets heated. I cannot. What in the world? Oh.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, my boy, I love Jock Peterson just because he's outlandish and ridiculous, and he's a good player, and he's helping the Giants when they're having some struggles. So I'm sorry that happened to him, but drama,
Right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you for filling me in on those details.
Yeah.
Grow up. Grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up. Ugh. All right. Well, speaking of growing up and people who are tall, I guess, segue, right? The NBA Finals are officially underway. They started on Thursday, June 2nd. This is between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State's head coach, Steve Kerr, is the one who you may have heard about giving an impassioned plea for gun reform the night of the Uvalde shooting. If you haven't seen that and it matters to you, look it up. It's an easy find. Anyway, game 1 was June 2nd. Game 2 is June 5th. And game 3 is tomorrow, June 8th. So this is a best of 7 series. And we'll see who comes out on top, Boston versus Golden State.
I forgot that we record before we release. And I was like, tomorrow is not June 8th. You're so fancy living in the future.
I mean, I tried really hard to play that off, but that's why I didn't give an update as to who's winning right now, because we don't know.
That's so good. And that is not at all what I would have done. So good job.
Thank you. I'm very proud of myself. I made a conscious decision to do it that way.
It was good. It was good. It was almost like we were living in the future.
Mm-hmm, almost. Yeah. All right. Well, that's my Go Sports is NBA Finals time.
Are we ready for gems?
I think we are.
Okay. So I have 2.
Okay. Let's hear them.
So the first one is we were making a little road trip and we drove past a very large shopping center. Okay. Just imagine, it's got the anchor stores. Like there's an Old Navy, there's a Target, there's a Best Buy. You've seen these places a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And this one happens to be extremely large. It's actually on both sides of the street. It's so big. As we drove by, I said, "Oh, I worked on this project." Because before I was a teacher, I was an environmental inspector. And I said, yeah, I've been in most of these buildings when they were just cold, empty shells, which is a construction term. And it means that the building is open, but there's no fixtures inside and there's no HVAC yet. That's the cold part. Okay. So I said, yeah, I've been through most of these buildings when they were so cold, empty, or when they were just cold, empty shells. And John looks at me and says, they're still cold, empty shelves. They're just full of crap now.
Oh, jeez.
Like, yeah, right. All these stores.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah. I have to give it to him. That's a good one.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second one, always save the best for last.
Yeah.
We have this friend who also is retiring this year. So congrats to her. Mm-hmm. She tells a story with such vigor and excitement. I hope that I can do it justice. It's a story
Yeah.
that I love so much. I've asked her to tell it numerous times just so I can listen. I won't say her name,
No,
but
don't say
she
it.
knows who she is.
Yeah, she does.
The story begins with a little bit of background information. You should know that this woman often chooses not to wear underwear.
Right. It depends on the fabric, but sometimes she just feels as though it is not necessary. Right.
And that's fine.
Right.
Whatever. Okay. So she is going to visit family in a retirement village, a nursing home, if you will. And at this point, she is wearing leggings, nothing underneath, and an oversized sweatshirt that happens to have the name of the school at which she is employed. There's all kinds of goings on. People are talking. She's waiting for someone to be ready so that they can go out to dinner or something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But she decides to camp out and have a seat in the recliner in the corner.
Yeah.
And a few minutes go by, and there's an unfortunate realization.
Yeah.
The chair is wet.
It's wet. And she's like, I think that what she says is, something's wrong.
Something's wrong. Now, this woman, God love her, is faced with a situation that if I were in wet pants, I would be pretty repulsed to know that it's not my mess that I'm sitting in.
Right.
So our friend stands up, knowing that many people in this home need assistance, and this is probably urine, right?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. In a recliner?
In this wet upholstered chair.
Oh my gosh.
And says the line, I had to calm myself down so I don't laugh. I can't wear someone else's pee. Strips off the leggings and proceeds to continue to wait on whatever's happening in just the sweatshirt and nothing else. And again, it does have the name of the school. She leaves the nursing home in just the sweatshirt.
Yeah. Walks
down the hallway to her car and drives home pantsless. Because, and I quote, I can't wear someone else's pee.
It's the way that this woman says the line so matter-of-factly, but also with this big, beautiful smile on her face, because, like, how else do you possibly deliver that, right? Like,
right.
No, you can't. She's absolutely right. You can't wear someone else's pee. You just can't do it. Like, many a time I have, as a mom, endured wearing someone else's pee, right? But I knew where it came from.
Yeah.
Right. How long it had been there, all the things. I knew all of that. And I still was like, oh my gosh, get it off me, right? So I totally get it. I just love that story. And we love her so much. We just saw her the other day. She's amazing. Such a good line. Okay, well, I'm just going to go out there and say, here's my gem. Multiple times recently, I have had so much old product and dry shampoo in my hair that when I've taken it down, it stayed up.
Nice.
Like Cindy Lou Who. Like, I don't know what it is about me just not wanting to wash my hair, but I really don't want to. And I know that's also not good for my scalp. So I have like clarifying shampoos and things like that, but also like the day that I take it down and it's clarifying shampoo day, my hair is legitimately standing up like Cindy Lou Who. Like, it's not like the only ones that are falling down are the ones around my neck. Otherwise they're all kind of just staying straight up or back.
Love it.
It's not a good look. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, the other one is...
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Next to my workstation, there are 2 calendars hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
One is pictures of German Shepherds, and one of them is turtles.
Okay.
One of them is open to the month of March, and the other one is open to July.
What?
Yeah.
What are y'all planning?
I don't know. This is so funny. I was just looking. I was like, it's not March or July.
Y'all are planning
and like
something.
It's not close to March, and it's not close to July.
No, right? No, that's weird.
Sorry, keep going.
The look of confusion on your face is pretty great. Okay, so speaking of confusion, you know I have a bird feeder in my backyard, right?
Oh, of course.
Or my side yard.
You're like Snow White.
just hold them there and it all just they just come
yes.
to me. No, that hasn't happened. Well, that did happen at the parakeet place in the aquarium that one time, but that's because they were literally everywhere. This is in my side yard. I have a deck and then a set of like just two stone steps and one like deck step to get to my little side yard. And in the side yard, I have a bird feeder. I have a couple of them. One of them I usually put peanuts in so the squirrels can have those. And then another one that's like just for the birds, and it's like a squirrel, like an anti-squirrel feeder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going out to the anti-squirrel feeder, and I've got the bird seed in my hand, and for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to go up to the deck to fill the bird feeder as opposed to just filling it right there next to where I hang it. And I fell up the stairs, the stone steps. Like
what?
Right. Like not a little bit, not like I just tripped. Like I fell, I dropped the bag of bird seed, and I threw the feeder up against the wall of the house. Like I fell.
Oh my gosh.
And I looked down at my feet, like I got a little cut on my toe, like I'm fine, right? I'm like, okay, just pay attention. Just pay attention to what you're doing. And I've always been clumsy like that. It's just a thing. Like, okay. I recently learned that it's possible that it's like you have less awareness of your body in space as someone with an ADHD diagnosis. Like it just happens to people. Like if you run into walls and stuff like that all the time, like I do, like maybe that's just you. Anyway, I fell up the stairs, gathered myself, kind of kicked the bird seed around so birds can have it, grab bird feeder, fill it up, and I do fine. And I go and put the bird feeder back, go back down the stairs, put it back, hang it up. And I'm like, now remember, you fell up the stairs last time. So just look at what you're doing.
Right.
And as I said, look at what you're doing, I fell up the stairs again. And I was like dropping the birdseed bag, and I'm like, you just said to yourself, be mindful of what you're doing, and you weren't mindful. So I didn't get any more injured, but I was like so mad at myself for like the next probably 3 or 4 hours. Like, you're an idiot. My toes still hurting. You just feel so stupid, right? But this is like me in a nutshell, right? It's like telling myself, you're going to be careful, and then proceeding to not be careful in that moment.
Like, well, you do need to be careful because, I broke multiple bones in both my feet because I tripped over a curb.
Oh my gosh.
I was in 2 boots.
Oh no. You were
bootlicks? Yes. And then I had to get that Nanaw shoe.
Oh no. I've had one of those. I broke a bone in my foot when I was trying to be a runner, and it was not a great situation. No, and I had to wear one of those.
They're so hideous.
Oh yeah. It was horrible. It was either wear one of those or get a push cart for my leg. And I was like, I'm not going push cart. Plus, how can any kind of teacher carry anything with a push cart? No. Nothing. You're done. So those are horrible. Yeah, I do need to be more careful. It was bad. It was not a good situation. Okay. What about obsessions? Anything like that?
Okay. So, no spoilers.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed the end of Grace and Frankie.
Okay.
It was very good. I think they did it justice.
Oh, good. Okay, because so many times those shows end so poorly.
Right.
Right.
Now, I was not emotionally prepared.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
did you cry a lot?
I did.
You're a crier. Yeah, you are a crier for sure.
And I texted my mom immediately, and I was like, PSA, do not watch the end of this show if you have anything else to do that day.
Because you will be an emotional disaster.
Yes.
If you try to. Speaking of things you watched, real quick, we decided, was it you who told me about watching the Chippendale Rescue
Yes!
Rangers movie. Yeah,
Yes.
we watched it last night.
It was good, right?
It's so adorable. It's very cute. Worth the watch. And the names in that movie are insane. J.K. Simmons, Andy Samberg, John Mulaney. Like, huge names. Crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was so good. I thought Disney figured it out. They're like, okay, we're just going to make fun of ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And
it was
people will
adorable.
laugh.
It was adorable. They did a good job. Very cute. Anyway, what else? Anything else you're obsessed with right now?
Yes, for Mother's Day, I got the Dr. Lancer caviar lime acid peel.
Ooh.
And it was a Mother's Day present because it is not a cheap drugstore product. So,
yeah.
like many other things that I use.
Right, you do.
Right? Oh my gosh. There is a reason why you spend money on face care.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. So you put it on and it's like toothpastey type
interesting
texture. Okay.
Okay.
You put it on and immediately your face starts to feel a good tight. And you let it dry and sit on your face for like 15 minutes. And apparently, like, as your skin gets more and more used to it, you can wear it for longer.
Yeah.
And then you wash off your face and moisturize. And oh my gosh, like the glow.
Yeah.
The immediate response. I was like, this is what I'm doing every time I'm going out. It is fabulous. I love it. And you can do it twice a week. So it's Wednesday, Sunday for me. And I love it.
That's awesome. Also, if you are someone who sometimes struggles to motivate yourself to get into the shower, if you put it on before you get into the shower, then you time it, and then 15 minutes later, you're getting in the shower to rinse it off. That one's a hack I learned from TikTok. Yay. Yeah. I love that. I might have to give that. You might have to send me that link because I'm interested. I don't mind investing in skincare, like for like a product or two. I buy too much skincare stuff as it is. But okay, so a while ago we talked about how we had an obsession with Wordle. Yes. I think that seems to have died down. I think for both of us, that's sort of a thing that's died down a little bit.
I am not doing it, but oh my gosh, my husband is still into it every single day.
But there is one that I did find that I love more, and that I think you might love more, and I think JK might love more. Okay. Ready? It's called Hurdle. Not like hurdle you jump over, but like I heard combined with Wordle. Right?
Okay.
And instead of guessing a word, you have a certain amount of seconds to guess a song.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I heard about this
I can name that song in one note.
Yeah, that's how it is, right? I heard about this game from the podcast called Playlist Wars, which is another good one that I've listened to. And I've listened to them too. Yeah, they're good. Yeah. Some of the songs are kind of obscure, but they're the ones where you're like, oh my gosh, I know this song. So like the first time you do it, you get 1 second to see if you can name the song. And then you might get like 3 seconds, and then it goes up to 5 seconds, and then it goes up to like 16 on your last one. And it kind of will give you a little bit of a hint. So like if you know the artist, it'll give you a couple of the songs that you might be able to pull from. This one, it gets hard sometimes. So like there have been times I haven't been able to do it.
Is it the actual track, or is it a re-recording of it?
No, it's the actual track. I think sometimes they take the words out of it if there are words super early. But for the most part, the ones I've heard are ones with kind of longer intros that you can sort of get away with not taking words out. But it is the actual track.
We play this game in my family.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, no. So Name That Tune is huge in my family. Not so much since COVID, but before, my parents would always run a house at the lake for about a week every summer.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us, right? We're each married. We each have children. We would try and make sure that there's one night where everyone is at the house at the same time.
Got it.
And my dad curates this list for a year.
Wow. That's awesome. That's really cool.
And sometimes it's the original artist. But in recent years, he has been obsessed with obscure covers.
Oh, interesting.
So now the Name That Tune has 3 points. You have to name the song, the original artist, or who made it famous.
Yeah.
And then also who's covering it.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah, it is intense. But it's good that he makes the list because he would beat all of us if anyone else made the list.
Yeah, if you got, exactly.
Oh, he'd cream us.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I like about that show, Playlist Wars, too, because they'll tell you who does a good cover of a certain song and you can go find it. That's really fun. But yeah, this game is hard. And like, there have been times where I'm like, I know this stinking song. And it's like the part of my brain that's like got useless song lyrics that I've held on to for the past 32 years is like pinging really, really hard, but I can't pull the name of the song.
Have you played it today?
Out. No, I haven't played today.
Okay,
but I need to
pause.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm reading the instructions. It says how to play. Listen to the intro, then find the correct artist and title in the list.
Yep.
Skipped or incorrect attempts unlock more of the intro. Answer in as few tries as possible, and then share your score. Okay, so this was not planned, so I do not have my phone plugged into the computer. I'm just going to hold it in front of the mic. Okay, so if the sound is terrible, we're sorry.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay. I just took a screenshot because I was trying to turn the sound up. That's how old I am.
And you have your glasses on.
Yeah.
Off the top.
Should I play it again? I'm going to play it again, and I'm not going to make it longer. It's still 1 second.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know it yet, but I have a couple of ideas.
Okay, so should we go to the next one?
You can hit skip, yeah.
So I'll hit skip. It's going to be 2 seconds now.
Yeah, Yeah, that's no better. I cannot guess it from 2 seconds. It's still the same sound to me. Does it feel like it's any longer? No?
It's 3 seconds of
just that one
marching.
Yeah. Sometimes they're hard.
Here's 4 seconds.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I was right!
You have it?
And I got it in one! Gosh.
You did?
Yes!
Good for you. I'm usually pretty good at it. Yeah, there have been times where I'm like legitimately going, what? Or like, I know the song, but I couldn't tell you who sang it, who, like what the name of it is. Like there is all those songs that, you know, come back to me from listening in my mom's car when I was little or whatever. And I'm like, I should know this and I know the lyrics, but that doesn't mean that I can tell you the exact name of it or who created it. Does that make sense? So most of them I know, like when the song plays for longer and I get to like that 15-second mark, I'm like, I totally know this, but I just can't figure out or name it. So anyway, it's a really good game. It's really fun. And if you're a music lover, it's a really fun way to pass, 35, 40 seconds. Yeah. Or if you're me, it'll go longer because you're going to lose your mind trying to figure out who it is. Okay, so those are our obsessions. That's our circle time. We're going to wrap up circle time and move into our real talk portion. So anyone who skips and just wants to know about resumes, guess what? It's your time because we're going to talk about resumes today.
Yay!
We talked about cover letters a couple of episodes ago, and we're going to come back to that series and just give you guys a little bit of information about resumes so that you can feel more confident as you start to build one or as you start kind of editing yours and tweaking it, all that kind of stuff.
So I keep hearing you say resumes with an S or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because just like a cover letter, you need to have a resume for each type of job you're applying to. So,
seriously?
Yeah, you do. I wouldn't say you need to have one necessarily for each company, but job title.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that matters, because because the skills are different. Because as I mentioned before, with cover letters, vocabulary matters. So certain jobs have certain types of vocabulary that you need to be able to be fluent in. And so if you're using certain vocabulary for a teaching job versus vocabulary for a marketing job, they don't translate. So you need to be able to have those things in mind. I'm going to say some basic stuff. So I got 2 of them. Yes, you need to have a resume for each type of job you're applying to. Yes, vocabulary does matter. When you're describing your skills and experience, you need to use positive, action-based language.
Okay, so, talk to me about action-based.
Verbs, all the verbs. Okay. Not passive voice, as many verbs as you possibly can. Like, this is something that you actually took action doing. Okay. And you can get this language from the job posting. Do you remember that recommendation I made about Teal?
Oh my gosh, Teal! Mm-hmm. The plugin for your Chrome browser.
Yep, you're going to use that extension again. And also, just to be helpful, I'm going to provide a list of action verbs from a website that will be in the show notes. Pause.
Awesome.
If you are going to, again, use a template, as we talked about with cover letters, I'm going to tell you again, you need to customize as much as possible. You don't want it to look like someone's resume that you copied and pasted. That's really bad.
Right.
Again, I'm going to tell you to use Teal. It's amazing. I'm going to also say, if you do use a template or like a resume builder, be really careful with these. Some of them are like, we promise you're going to get a new job in the next 30 days. And it's like, no. You can't promise that. And your resume builders are often going to put things into formats that are difficult for you to edit later on without going back into that resume builder to make it structured a certain way. Mm-hmm. So I'm really cautious of those. And I also don't like ones that you have to pay for where you put in your credit card and they're like, we'll tell you in 14 days if you're going to get billed. And it's like, I don't even want to pay you $3 to do my resume. I can do this myself. You're not helping me.
Right.
So I'm also going to tell you that for a basic, you need to use grammar checkers and spell check because typos always are part of resumes.
Well, and I just have a general rule that I don't send anything to a future employer that I haven't had someone else look over.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule. Personally, I'm someone who does my best editing after I hit send. So I don't want to be that person. I'm going to have someone else take a look at what's going on. So,
and if someone says, no, I can't look at your resume, they're mean.
Yeah.
Most
people, so find someone who can look.
Yeah. Most people, if you ask them, hey, can you look at this and just check over it for spelling and grammar? If they're saying no, it's because they don't like you. I'm sorry. Or they recognize that that's not a skill set that they have and they will say that.
Right.
But if someone asks me to look at their resume, of course I'm going to look at it. Sure. I can carve out 15 minutes to look at your resume.
Right. Of course. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about parts of a resume real quick. There's the beginning part, which is also known as your header, right? Your header needs to obviously have your first and last name, like your given first and last name, not like your nickname, right? If your nickname is the Lightning, please don't put that on your resume. We don't care. So it should also have your contact information, phone number, and email. And I personally put the city and state that I reside, but I don't go further. You will see people who put their full postal address on a resume. I personally don't think that that is necessary at this time. I really don't think you need to do that, especially with the number of jobs that are remote. I think a city and state is fine.
I have my full address. I'm looking at it right now. So I'm going to change that.
Yeah, I don't think you need it anymore. It just doesn't really seem necessary. And with the amount of people who can like possibly spam or whatever, like I don't really need my address going out there. Like it's in enough places, right? And you're submitting your address on your resume to a bunch of databases. Like, it just doesn't really seem necessary. So that's the first part of your header is your name and contact information. The other thing you're going to have on your resume up at the top is either your objective or your summary. This should be 1 to 3 sentences max underneath your contact information. And it's going to be something like, to obtain a teaching position with the hopes of coaching basketball on the side, something like that. It doesn't need to be anything longer than that. If you'd rather put a summary, that's more common on a CV than on a resume, but either one is appropriate. There are plenty of examples of this online that you can put onto your resume, but you're just going to change a few verbs here and there and be done with it.
Okay.
Yes. The other part.
I don't have that.
You don't have that.
I don't have that.
You know what?
So I'm learning a lot today.
There are things that people pick and choose to put on there. I would think in certain professions, people know why you're applying for the job, right? If you're a teacher, if you're an educator, you probably don't need to put that on there because people know why you're applying for the job. Your objective is to get a job teaching, and your experience is going to speak for that. I think if you're looking for a promotion, that might be a good way to kind of stand out a little bit. Underneath that is where you're going to start putting in your work experience. I've seen this done a couple of different ways. I've seen people put education info first. I've seen people put work experience first. I think it's all going to depend on the format that you choose to use and the template that you're going to use. So if you're going through some word processing document and they have a resume builder and they have education experience on top of work experience, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's fine. Okay. I tend to put work experience first just because, to me, I've been outside of school for a long time, so it's not as recent. So that's why I'm choosing to put work experience first. If you are currently working in a position and you put 2018 to present, any language you use underneath that particular position needs to be present tense.
Okay, great.
Right? Because you're presently in that job. If you put on there, anything that's past tense, anything that happened, old jobs, even if you just left that job, it's now past tense language. So that's just something to put in there. Okay. I always start in chronological order, most recent first, and go backwards. Anything that is a relevant freelance gig or volunteer position, you can include on there. If it's not relevant and it's freelance or volunteer, don't include it.
Okay.
The exception to this is people who have just come out of school and who don't have a lot of work experience. If you are a new person in the workforce, absolutely put on volunteer experience. Absolutely put on jobs that you've had. If you've only had two, put on those two jobs. If one of them is a lifeguard and the other one is an ice cream shop worker, it's okay to put them both on there because you don't have any other work experience. Otherwise, it's not necessary to if it's not relevant to the position that you're applying for. This is also where you would include key skills that would be beneficial to your new employer. You're going to use active language. You're going to also make sure you mention achievements, especially ones that are quantifiable. Now, for teachers, this is hard because we're like, I teach 120 students for the past 13 years and I can do the math and that's this many kids. That's not the kind of quantifiable experience that we're talking about. We're talking about something that you can show growth. So for teachers, if you want to do action data, you're going to say, I raised my kids' scores on this exam from here to here, growth of 27%.
Okay.
Or you're going to say managed this many people in this particular setting. Okay. What you're looking for is something that demonstrates actual growth. And that could be for anybody. You could say improved company revenue by 18% or decreased customer complaints by 9%. It doesn't matter. You just have to have the number on there to show that you have measurable data, measurable improvements to the position that you were in at one point. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
If you earned any achievements, again, list those things. Now, depending on the template that you have, those achievements you might pull off to the side, put them in another column, whatever it is. But if they fit underneath a work experience, then highlight that. Put that on there. Don't actually physically highlight it, but just put it on there Like for example, at one of my previous teaching jobs, I won Teacher of the Year. You better believe I put that on there when I applied for my next teaching job. That mattered, right?
Right.
So again, quantifiable information. This is all going to go under your work experience. When you're talking about your educational background, start with your highest degree first, the one that you've obtained. Okay, so if you have a master's, great, start with that, then go to your bachelor's, then go to your high school, if you even want to do that.
Right.
Most people assume that if you have a bachelor's degree, you also have a high school
You
diploma.
also went to high school.
Right.
Correct.
So you don't need to worry about that one. Again, if you're new to the workforce, put that on there. You want your high school diploma on there. If you have some sort of notable achievement in school, put that on there too, right? Did you make the dean's list? Do you have a great GPA for graduate school? You can put that on your resume. That's awesome. Don't put any information on there that indicates to your employer that school was rough, right? Like,
right? Okay, so here's the deal. I got a 4.0 in grad school.
Yeah.
But my undergrad GPA was like 2.6.
Yeah. So don't put undergrad.
I don't have any GPA on my resume, because if I'm putting 4.0 on my master's and I'm not putting something on my undergrad, they're knowing that my bachelor's was rough.
Right.
Because I left it off on purpose. So I just have no GPA. Right.
You could, if you made the dean's list in graduate school, you could put dean's list honoree and leave it at that. Right?
There you
because
go.
Then there's no assumption, like dean's list is what, like 3.5 and above. You could have hit like a 3.42 and not made the dean's list, or whatever the cutoff is. I don't know what it is, depending on the school, or whatever. But like, if you said dean's list honoree for grad school, then they would know, okay, she's enough to get that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that
my bachelor's
that
I had to write a letter explaining that it's been 10 years since I went to college. Please accept me into graduate school.
I'm a responsible adult now.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Right. Some people have asked about, what about degrees that you're currently working towards? So let's say you already have a master's in something and you're working towards a law degree or an MBA or whatever. Absolutely put it on your resume. MBA expected May of 2024. Great. That's amazing. Totally put that on there, and employers will be like, "Oh, that's cool. We're going to have an MBA on the team." Right?
Right.
When you finish all of those things, you're going to do a few more kind of quick checks here. You're going to go back through your wording and see if there's anything that you can make more concise. More action verbs, please. Yes?
Yes.
So if you are using any passive voice anywhere on your resume, I'm going to ask you to take it out. Make everything an action step.
I don't know what a passive voice statement would really sound like.
That's a great question. Yeah. Okay, so here's an example of passive voice, right?
Okay.
My first job will always be remembered by me.
Oh, so you're not the subject of the sentence, the job is.
So you want to say, like, I will always remember my first job.
Right.
There's a difference in the...
Make sure that you are the subject of the sentence, and it's, what did I do?
Right. What did I do? Not what did the thing do because of me. You want it to be, what did I did this. I'm the reason that this improved. I'm the reason that this got better for whatever reason. Okay. So just making sure that you change just the structure of your sentence so that you are always going to be the person that the verb is talking about. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you're going to check over your resume to make sure that you only have active voice in any of the bullets that you have under your work experience. You're going to minimize clutter and make it easy on the eyes by checking your font sizes, making sure that all your fonts match. You're going to see if there's places to make white space. So for example, if there's a spot that you can break up your work experience from your, let's say, your education background, give a little bit of white space there so that it's easy to be chunked. You can easily see the pieces of information because, again, you've got probably about 60 seconds to grab someone's attention. And if it's hard to read and it's cluttered, they're not going to really go for it. You're going to, as we mentioned last time, save this document as a PDF.
Yes.
It's possible to do it. If you don't know how, ask someone to help you. It's very, very simple once you learn the trick. And you're going to do that to preserve your formatting. Because if you download a template from one of these word processing companies, they're going to probably put it in a table format in order to preserve spacing. And you just want to make sure that all of it fits the way that it's supposed to and that your rows aren't breaking across pages and things like that. I would say have someone review it for you, just like you mentioned earlier. So just ask someone to take 10 minutes and scan it real quick with their eyeballs. Okay.
Right.
And then whenever you submit it, you're again going to submit the PDF format and not the document format.
Yeah. No.
No, not cool.
Okay. So what kind of things are red flags to the hiring manager?
There's some givens, right? Grammatical errors like typos, profanity, which does happen, or slang. When I worked retail, one of the managers was like, "You just have to see this resume," and it was like riddled with slang. Wow. That was like, yeah, okay, we get it. You're 17 looking for a job, but also, did your mom not help you with this? Because someone needs to look this over.
My gosh.
Yeah, I would say things that suggest instability. Now, some people's circumstances cannot be helped. I'm not saying that if you've had multiple jobs in the past few years that you're unstable. I'm saying remove anything on your resume that suggests that you are not committed to being at this job.
Okay.
Right? So like if you've had
like
15...
when I worked at Fazoli's for 3 days, I probably don't need to put that on my resume.
No, you should not put that on your resume. If you're one of those people who is just like, I hate this place, I quit, and you just walked out, you probably shouldn't include that on your resume unless you did a lot for that company and you have quantifiable, measurable data that you can put on there. Some people are just quitting because it's time to quit, and I get that. Some people, there's instability in their life.
At me.
Oh, yeah, you
and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't work somewhere where people throw food at me.
No, I'm out.
So I quit on the spot. It's the only job I've ever quit without giving notice.
That's amazing. I love that you were just like, I do not receive that, in the words of Elise Myers. I do not receive that. I'm going to walk out. Again, this is no judgment against people who have instability in their life. I just don't want you to include it on your resume because it looks like to a hiring manager that you're not committed to being in the job, and so they're not going to waste their time on you. Personal information should not be included. Your hiring manager does not need to know if you are married, if you have children. You don't need pictures of yourself on your resume.
Oh my God,
that is... You don't need this information on your resume. It's not relevant. And you do not need to invite potential discrimination because of this, that, or the other, right?
Right.
You don't need to put how old you are. None of that information is relevant to this position. If you get an interview, they're going to see you. They're going to know what you look like. If you're me, your kid's probably going to be in the background. They're going to figure out all those things about you. They don't need to know that information on your resume.
Right. Okay. This is why also, unless you are putting an expected graduation date, you can stay away from putting when you got your degree.
Right. You don't need to put when you got your degree. You can if you want. If it makes you feel comfortable, then that's fine, but it's not necessary because sometimes, especially if you put your high school diploma on there, that is a pretty clear indication of how old you are. So if you don't need to date yourself, then don't do it. Right.
Right.
Inaccuracies. I have inaccuracies in air quotes, or lying. Just don't do it. It's kind of obvious when people are lying on their resume, so just don't bother with doing that. Yeah. This isn't necessarily a red flag, but I don't include my references on my resume. I know that was a practice for people to do a while ago, but if people are asking for references, you've made it pretty far in the interview process and you can give them to them upon request. You don't need to have your references nailed down and put on your resume. That's completely unnecessary. If they're asking for them early on, like you're submitting your resume online in some online form and you have to complete all of that information, that's different. You can supply them then, but I still try to say references available upon request. I don't add any of that stuff in there.
Who would serve as a good reference?
If possible, your previous superior at work.
Okay.
If that's possible. If not, maybe there's an environment that you're trying to leave. Colleagues who you've developed a relationship with, who you know would support you in a transition would be good, especially any colleague who might have a title that could be relevant to you, that might sound like they were a superior, but they were just somebody who you worked with regularly.
Okay.
That might be a good thing to do. Anyone who you regularly work with in a volunteer situation could also be like a good character reference. That might be something worth looking into as well.
Okay. So I'm thinking about this as a teacher as well as a future employee. When I'm coaching teens on developing their resume and collecting references, they don't need to put their mom down.
No, don't put your mom down. Find a teacher. Find a teacher who would be supportive of you getting this position and who you know you've done good work for, or who just seems to appreciate you as a person. Put them down as a reference. That's fine. Your school counselor could also be a good person to put down, but only if they know you. Sometimes you are at a giant school and your counselor may not know you because you don't need to meet with them regularly for whatever reason, or maybe you don't have time to volunteer because you're at home taking care of family or whatever it may be. If your counselor doesn't know you, don't put that person down.
Should I ask my references before I put their names down?
I would at least provide a heads up. I'm someone who I have unknown numbers blocked on my phone. So if they call me, like, they're going to have to leave a voicemail. And so you might just say, like, you know, hey, I'm interested in having you be a reference for a position that I'm applying for. Is that okay with you? Do you feel comfortable providing a reference for me? Because the other thing is, sometimes you assume someone feels comfortable doing that and they may not be the right person to be a reference for you for whatever reason. So you need to be prepared for someone to say, you know, I'm really not good at providing references because I, you know, have open mouth insert foot syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Or I just don't feel comfortable doing that because of XYZ, you know, please find someone else. And hopefully that person would provide you with a different name who might be more helpful for you. But, you know, I would definitely at least give them a heads up that you want them to be a reference, because you don't know what people are going to be saying about you. Right. So that could be an issue. Yeah. Let's summarize this whole thing here.
I love it.
Yeah. Have a resume for each position that you're applying to. Not necessarily like marketing manager here, marketing manager there, but marketing manager, anything that falls under that umbrella, have a resume for that. And then if you're going into, you know, customer service, have a different resume for that. So different titles or different fields or different types of positions, have a resume for each one. Your vocabulary matters. Translate your skills into a language that fits the industry using positive, action-based language. And I'm going to link a bunch of action verbs in the show notes that you can have.
Teal.
Customize any of your templates that you use. Change verbs that are given to you already and look for examples in your field and then modify and customize those. Proofread and check over and over and over again for those things. Ideally, it would fit on one page. So any sort of concise language that you can use that will make everything smaller or shorter would be great. And just be mindful of those red flags, because you just don't need them on your resume and they won't make it past any sort of electronic searching or electronic filters.
I see.
So just keep it that way. Okay. I think that's all.
Good. You did great. Thank you so much.
I hope that helps. There's more online you can find.
The clicking here is me going back and forth looking at my resume saying, okay, did I do this?
I've done this a lot in the past, you know, about a year at this point. So it's something that's on my mind, and I'm not an expert but just having been through this so many times, I definitely have a few tricks up my sleeve. So, you know, there's a lot of content to be found. There's a lot of people who are willing to help, and genuine helpers, and not just like, you know, resumebuilder.com or whatever it is.
Right.
Not to besmirch them, just know that, because I think resumebuilder.com is actually a website. But, and they have good advice because I have some of it here, but you just get a person and not just a bot to look it over. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
A person.
Right.
I have a friend that this is her gig.
Yeah.
This is what she does. She has lots of things.
Right.
But one of the roles that she does is employment coaching.
I have a friend who was previously a recruiter. So she knows a lot of things about how people start searching for and filtering through candidates. And her help was very useful at the beginning of last summer.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is the time.
If you love us, like us. If you love us, follow us and subscribe, and then go in and rate and review. Say nice things about us. We want you to serve as a reference.
Honestly, word of mouth is the best thing that you can do. And when someone else provides a review, it's like amazing, super helpful. So rate, review, subscribe. Find us on all the social media channels. We're at CK and GK Podcast pretty much everywhere, right? Yeah, I don't think I changed it anywhere.
Yeah. Make good choices.
And use your gift cards. Okay, bye. Bye.
Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.